Hello, everybody. I am Myles Udland. I'm with Yahoo Finance. I'm joined today by Stewie Zhu, who is the co-founder and CEO of Distributed Credit Chain. That sounds probably like something that I think is probably the hottest topic in finance right now, which would be blockchain technology, Bitcoin, all that sort of stuff. I think many in the room know what Warren Buffett has said about Bitcoin, so we won't worry about the price of that cryptocurrency today or where it goes from here. But Stewie, I want to start by asking, what brings you to Omaha? Why are you here? And what do you hope to get out of this weekend?
Oh, thank you, Myles. It was my great honor to be here. I was reading all the stories about Warren Buffett when I was a kid, and when I was at school, I read the book Snowball, and that's why I'm here. You know, I want to have the experiences of all the stories reading in the book, which happened in Omaha.
Yeah, right. And then, of course, tomorrow will be the main event. So let's talk a little bit about your origin story of how you found yourself getting into blockchain technology. Because we were talking earlier, we're about the same age, and I think it's a story that comes out of the financial crisis and how that resonated, I think, with a lot of people who were coming of age during that time.
Well, I was studying at Yale University at 2008. And when I graduated from school, I was sort of unemployed. So I went to continue my study as a financial economics. So I studied at Oxford and the London School of Economics as a PhD student. So I was sort of like brainwashed. So I read a lot of stories about Mark Zuckerberg and again, Mr. Warren Buffett. So I chose to, drop my PhD study at the third year and I came back to my home country to be an entrepreneur. So I was working in the area called Fintech, and I created my own startup, and I sold it to a public traded company last year for something like $250 million US. And then I work on the blockchain. It is actually my second project. Yeah, because I can never forget to find out the reason it makes me unemployed when I graduated from Yale.
Yeah. So talk about the blockchain. People define that in a lot of different ways. Whether you want to call it a distributed ledger, there's someone in charge of the database, right? But how would I guess you define the notion of blockchain and sort of that basic technology, which seems like it will become a bigger part of the financial system going forward?
Yeah, because I think I saw a lot of discussions about the financial crisis, and it was this year is actually the 10th anniversary of the financial crisis. There's a lot of top professors from Ivy League schools and professionals in Wall Street. They keep trying to investigate the reason or the mechanism behind the credit crisis. And there are some really good series like financial attrition, contagion theory. Some of you guys may heard about it, and network series, and even someone is questioning the existence of the financial intermediary itself. I think all of them and they're making sense to me, but I think none of them they actually provide a sort of comprehensive solution to that problem. So how do we prevent the next one? So until I met the technology as blockchain, I think it sort of provide an ultimate solution to that problem. That's why I jumped into that industry and started to investigate that.
Yeah. So what? So if it provides the ultimate solution to the problem that I guess the traditional credit financing system posed a few years ago, what are some of the specific hurdles that blockchain overcomes that the usual methods that we have for financing and doing commerce can't solve for?
Yeah, good question, Myles. I think blockchain as a technology provide the trust between people. So the problems we're talking about for the centralized financial institutions would be something like high transaction cost and a high interest rate in some part of the world, and also the distorted credit profile like Equifax, JP Morgan, and Facebook. Yeah, a lot of examples. So what we try to do is, I think, we try to, basically there were two solutions to that problem. I think the first would be we pull out 10 biggest banks in the world, we form a league, and we want the best engineers to work on it. But I think that's sort of like a, conflict of interest for the philosophy as a decentralized world. So why don't we just investigate another way? Like why don't we just try to build up a decentralized credit ecosystem from the very beginning? Though it is small, but we grow it up. So that's what why I founded this decentralized credit ecosystem. Yeah, that's what we try to do.
Yeah, so you call it an ecosystem, right? So it'd be different than the current financial system that I think that many of us know today.
Yeah.
What exactly does that look like?
Oh, it's like we're trying to create a new telecom network of all this financial credit data. So that was, I think, the core part of the whole credit problem. So by establishing that brand new telecom network of all this encrypted credit data, we're actually returning ownership of your financial data to the owner, like your credit repayment history, like your car loan repayment or tuition request. So everything, we return the ownership of the data to you. Because the data breach is definitely the biggest problem of all existing centralized financial system. So based on that, we actually built up a platform. So all these D-apps, like micro online lending D-apps, or even the traditional financial institutions, all those credit rating agencies, all those, so a lot of startups like doing the risk control, big data-based algorithm startups, they would all be able to build up the D-apps on our ecosystem. So yeah, we want to invest more companies to this ecosystem. Yeah, we want to grow it out.
So what's at this stage, it's a young group, young company. What's the reception been like? Because I think a lot of the tension right now in the blockchain space, and as we think about where the global financial system goes, is, as you mentioned, all the major banks are staffing up to try and figure out their own version of the solution. Have people been receptive to your ideas? Are people resistant to that? What do you see as the path forward for building out that ecosystem you were talking about?
I think people would finally come to realize by building a decentralized credit ecosystem from the beginning would be a more efficient way, because of the philosophy of the blockchain is about trust and share globally. So I think there's a reason for us to start the company by doing like that. And also you see those young generations between America and China, they're all talking about the blockchain because it's actually connecting people around the world together. The power and the speed is much more than like last generations, as I said, in the internet. Yeah. So it changes something. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, we were talking earlier about just how it feels like you're from China, I'm from the U.S. We're roughly the same age, but it seems like we have probably more in common than perhaps someone who's 70 years older than me, but who's been an American. Do you feel like the youth movement globally and how we understand, global transactions and how we view our data, trust, things like that, are going to help you guys? And do you think that kind of the youth movement around the world, whether it's in developing markets or developed markets, is something that is going to kind of bring adoption to your platform?
Yeah, of course. I think it brings a lot of change because the view, like young generations, they view the blockchain and this is completely different. They accept this stuff. So like you can see, we have already like 700,000 people registered in our distributed credit network. Most of them, they're all young people, and their consuming behavior is different. They use something like consumer finance. They use this consumer credit, and they behave differently, and they embrace this new kind of credit system. So I think that actually make difference, and we had a face on that.
Yeah. Now I'll ask you last question. Do you guys do you want to launch your own token? Do you want to have kind of a DCC coin that people use, or do you just want to create a system where kind of an intermediary where someone who wants to buy a car has their profile, and an auto dealer can more easily figure out whether that's someone that they should be lending money to or not?
That is a very good question. Can we actually talk about it here?
That's your decision.
Yeah. Well, I would say that we definitely created a distributed ecosystem. So we have the best engineers in the world. We have the research work with Wharton and Columbia and all those best schools in the world. Yeah, so at that level, we work it hard. But I would say that token is necessary at some kind of, part of the ecosystem. So we were investigating the possibilities.
Okay, well, we will all look out for that. Stewie, thanks so much for joining us.